So I'd like to introduce Karen Meyers. She is the head of Artificial Intelligence Center at SRI, and she's addressed many, many challenges in AI. What's very interesting to me is that the human-machine interface, including training environments, personal assistance, and all the associated challenges that come with that. So she's a great person to kick off this event to give us a really good understanding of the state of AI. And obviously, I'm lucky that she works at the same place that I do, and she's just a few minutes walk away, so I can bounce things off at any time. So I'm very lucky about that. So welcome, Karen.
Good afternoon, everyone, and I'd like to say big thanks to Paul for giving me this opportunity to address the group here as part of the workshop. And I have to apologize to Paul because I didn't really pay attention when he asked me to do an overview of the state of AI. A big theme of the work that I've done through my career is thinking about how humans will interact with AI technologies, which is very relevant to this group, so I chose to just kind of focus on that. So as you'll see, what I'm planning on doing today is talking about some general issues and then kind of also instantiating some of those issues and technical approaches by referring to some work that I myself or other people in my lab have been involved with. So just go right ahead. Just so you can understand where I'm coming from, Paul introduced SRI a little bit. We're a not-for-profit based in Menlo Park, California. We do things across the whole spectrum of research, from very basic research to more applied research, do a little bit of product development, and are trying more and more to commercialize some of that technology. So some of our successes that you might have heard of, Siri came out of my lab. We also had Intuitive Surgical, one of the leading robotic surgery platforms, another spin-off that came out of SRI. Both of which started as very basic research projects funded by Department of Defense. So I put this slide up just to give you some sense of the work we're doing in our lab, and I am going to highlight some of these different areas. We do work in sensing and analytics, computer vision, natural language processing, other kinds of signal processing types of things. Lots in the space of reasoning and problem solving, planning systems, scheduling systems, multi-agent coordination. You'll hear a little bit more about some of those. Of course, machine learning, everybody does machine learning, but I thought this group would be very happy to see that I feature prominently in the overview of our lab that human-system interactions is a big part of what we focus on. And you'll hear more about some of the work we're doing on conversational assistance, mixed addition problem solving, explainable AI, and supervised autonomy. So I am a senior member of the field, and back when I was doing my PhD studies in AI, there was this view of the world that AI is going to solve everything. We're going to be able to automate so much out there, and there was this real aversion to thinking about humans interacting with AI technologies. Sort of, what's the point of that? Because we're going to be so successful, we're not going to need the humans to do anything. We're just going to automate everything. And so one of the areas where I first started working when I came to SRI was in the field of automated planning. And so the concept at that time was they wanted black box solutions. So a user would come in, they'd specify a goal of a problem that they were trying to solve. You would have your black box AI planning engine take the goal, look at models about how you can do planning and actions in that particular environment, and spit out a solution. And on the right, you're seeing what was kind of state-of-the-art in the mid to late 90s in terms of complexity for fully automated AI planning systems. So that's all great. It motivated a lot of great research, led to some great ideas, nice algorithms. I remember having to demo this planner that we built. We were working on an air logistics problem, and I went to demo this to some major in the Air Force. And he was very polite and nice, and he patiently walked us through, or listened as we walked through the demo. And then when I got to the end of it, and I asked him, "So is this something? Do you think we're on the right track? Is this something that could potentially, in the future, be fielded within your organization?" And he just kind of shook his head and said, "No." And for me, it was a real epiphany moment coming from the AI training that I had, where we wanted to automate everything. And there were two things that he said. First of all, I don't understand the way your system works. I have to brief my superiors on the decisions that we are making. And I can't do that based on this tool because it's not exposing any of the reasoning or the rationale for the decisions that it's making. And then the second thing he said was, I can't influence this thing, right? It's going off and running, and I can't, it's not taking advantage of any of the expertise or knowledge that I have about this domain. And even if I did trust that you had built perfect models and had perfect knowledge going into your system, I want to influence things. Planning is actually a creative process, and there's generally not a single right solution. There's a complex solution space, and really what we're trying to do is explore that space and come up with a good solution. As I said, this was a real epiphany moment for me, having been trained to try to automate everything. And that kind of led me into this whole area of humans interacting with AI systems. And my first foray into this was building a tool we called the Advisable Planner. So the idea was, well, let's take AI planning technology, but let's make it advisable by a human. So we had, I realize that might be a little bit hard to read up there, but I'll just quickly go through some of the concepts we built into that. So one was this notion of advice. So a human could come in and say, if you were doing something like travel planning, right, you might come in and say, yeah, well, I'm interested in going to Paris roughly these days. I'd like to stay in a 3-star hotel. I don't want to spend more than, $200 a night per hotel, that kind of thing. So providing a collection of constraints to the system, and the system would have to abide by those constraints. Another concept that we looked at, which made a lot of sense for the Air Force, was plan sketching. So the idea you could actually sketch out what a solution would look like. So you're kind of laying out the major pieces of what a solution is, but not doing all the details. So the AI system could then come in, look at what you've done, interpret it, figure out, oh, this is the strategy that they're trying to follow, and then fill in the details around it. So this is sort of the notion beyond that. And then other things too, like being able to summarize things, being able to show the explanation behind the decisions, things like that, which definitely moved us into a very different space away from what the field of AI was doing at that point in time. But also, I think one that was much more productive. So this is back in the days of kind of old symbolic AI, although we'll come back to that point later. I hope I have time to do that. So you might be asking, well, is this relevant to AI now that we're fully embraced machine learning and deep learning as a technology? And there are lots of issues there about, similarly explainability, directability, those kinds of things. Just to motivate this a little bit more, I put in this slide of a couple of recent examples that I saw that I thought were kind of fun and interesting, and thought the group might appreciate them. So I would argue that, again, people are sort of setting their sights on deep learning. It's magical. It does all these fantastic things. If you just give it enough data, why do we need humans in the loop anymore? And I think that we're starting to accumulate more and more evidence that you still need the human in the loop with these systems. So these two examples I saw recently that I thought were really nice. There's this really great TED Talk by Garry Kasparov, the former world chess champion. And he talks about some this computer-based chess playing program, AI-based chess playing program, and how they had this big tournament in which an amateur that was using this technology defeated both the technology on its own and several grandmasters, which is really powerful. To take somebody, he's an amateur, he doesn't even have sort of professional ranking in the world, but by having this chess program as a tool, was able to defeat both the AI systems and the grandmasters. So that's a really interesting finding. And another thing in this spirit, I found this company called, I don't know anything about this company, I saw an article about them, and it's called Cloud MedX, and they have a product where they're trying to build up clinical decision support capabilities for doctors. And they did this little test where they had a doctor take a mock medical exam, they had the system take the mock medical exam, and then they had a doctor paired with the system to take the exam. Similar kind of thing, where they had the human paired with the technology, significantly outscored the technology on its own, or the human doctor on its own. So, this might not happen in all fields, but I think increasingly we're getting more and more examples of this phenomenon that by augmenting human capabilities with AI technology, you get the best of both worlds, right? So humans are really good at things like dealing with ambiguity, being creative, pulling in common sense knowledge, all those kinds of things. AI technologies, computers more generally, really good at things like systematicity, comprehensive, exploring all options, doing data crunching, that sort of things. Those are different skill sets, and so if we can really bring those together, it's not surprising that we could come up with something more powerful. So, okay, so we want that. We want human-machine collaboration. So what makes this hard? There are lots of things, but I just put 3 points on this slide here I wanted to elaborate on this afternoon. So humans and machines have different strengths and weaknesses, as I just mentioned, and different approaches to problem solving. This one often leads to people having different mental models of how to solve a problem or even what a world situation is like. And in fact, there have been a number of the airline crashes that have happened recently, or over the last 10 years, I shouldn't say recently. A lot of those have ended up being caused as a result of the human pilots having an incorrect mental model of what the autopilot was doing, right? So this is a really critical problem. We've got to get to the point where we have a way, we have the means by which we can have the humans and the machines sort of understanding how each other is thinking and using that to reflect, what they do and how they do it. A second issue is that we're talking about AI systems and autonomy, which is an area of research that I'm very passionate about. Autonomous systems are working in domains that are highly dynamic, right? Complex and highly dynamic, and that's why we want the AI technology, because they're things that are challenging for humans to do. But once you get into those environments, then it's very complicated to get these shared mental models, or even to get shared situational awareness of what's going on and why the system is doing things. The third point then is AI systems or autonomous systems, more specifically, are complex, and they're using machine learning because we would like them to evolve over time. We would like for them to continuously learn, but of course, if they're doing that, they lose some predictability, they lose some reliability, and so that's also an issue when humans have to interact with these systems. At what point do you stop trusting it because you think maybe it's learned some bad behaviors or it's starting to make some bad decisions? So these are three barriers. There are others, but three I decided to choose for today. So I'm often asked about trust and autonomy and what that would mean. And it's interesting, it's kind of started to change. When I first started talking about trust a few years ago, the big thing was this box along the bottom, competency. How can you validate that your system is actually doing what it's supposed to be doing? That's a very important problem. There are some really interesting research ideas out there right now looking at this question of validation of competency for AI systems. So I'm not going to go into that, but I did want to talk about the four boxes above that as being really important. So transparency is one now, right? Explainable AI is really hot. We heard in some of the talks this morning people emphasizing how critical it was to get explainability because you get this black box problem, much like the Air Force feature that I had to deal with 20 years ago. So that's a really hard problem. I'm going to talk a little bit about some elements there. But going on more than that, right? It's not just that the system is transparent, but you've got to be able to communicate with the system as well. And I'll talk a little bit about some work we've been doing in my lab in that area. The third one is this point of directability that I brought up earlier with respect to the planning system that I had developed, that it's not enough that you understand what the AI is doing, you want to be able to influence the AI. You want to be able to have your expertise, your wealth of experience reflected in the kinds of models that the AI learning systems are coming up with. And the last component or dimension I'd like to talk about is personalization. And this is an interesting phenomenon. So my husband he's not an AI person, he was complaining to me the other day. He's like, Alexa's so frustrating. I ask for the same piece of music to be played all the time and it never gets it right. How come it can't learn that? And then I have to explain to him because, well, the way Alexa learns is actually crowdsourcing. You have very idiosyncratic music tastes and you're the problem here. But he doesn't have that explanation. So, but this idea of personalization is really important that, it's been shown time and time again that for people to adopt technologies, they have to be personalized to their workflows and their work styles and that sort of thing. So I think this is another really important dimension. So let me start with explanation. So we've been developing, like everybody else nowadays, we've been developing our own explanation framework at SRI. And actually, let me just jump forward. We've been looking at this in the context of a system I helped develop called PACT, Policy Directed Autonomy for Coordinated Teams. And I can't get into a lot of details on this, but fundamentally the idea is we'd like to be able to take a team of agents, like a team of UAVs that have to go off and do some coordinated tasks together, some sort of complex task. So think about something like maybe it's a firefighting mission. So you might have assets that have different capabilities. Some can pick up people, some can deliver equipment, some are water tankers, that sort of thing. They're a heterogeneous mix of assets. And what you'd like to do is figure out how to assign those assets to do things for you, have them execute things, have them collaborate as a team. When things go wrong, have them dynamically replan, that sort of thing. So we built this system, which did some really cool things in simulation. We weren't using real UAVs. But one of the things we quickly noticed is that we had upwards of like 50 different agents running in simulation. And it was really easy for us, the designers of these things, to not understand what they were doing why. So you'd see in simulation this little helicopter, it's headed for some waypoint that it's supposed to be going to, and boom, all of a sudden it would just go off the screen, and we would have no idea why. Well, in some cases it might be something like, well, there was a fire just off the screen and it decided to divert it to pick up some people, but we couldn't tell that because that wasn't on the screen. So to us it looked like a bug in the models that the system had. So that's just one concrete example of my own personal experience in wanting an explanation framework. So lots of people are now thinking about explanation for autonomy systems. So being able to answer questions like who's doing what, why are they doing it, when will they be here, why are they doing that kind of thing. We've been looking at two other dimensions of explanation. The one on the bottom, I'm not going to be able to say too much about, but it's sort of, we call it priming, this concept that if I'm an autonomous system and maybe I don't have confidence I can solve a particular problem, I'd like to get some input from the human. But to do that, I've got to convey the problem-solving state and the relevant situational information to the human so that they can then make a decision. So again, unfortunately, I don't have time to talk about that in detail, but I do want to talk about this middle one we call reconcile. And this was really motivated by the fact that, again, lots of studies from the psychological literature about how bad it is to lose trust. If people lose trust in a technology, it's really hard to get them to use the technology later on. And so, our experience of, seeing this helicopter veer off, and we didn't really know why, got us thinking about, well, what would have been really nice would have been if the helicopter had come to us and said, I'm about to do something that you might find kind of surprising, but here's why I'm doing it. So that led us to develop a whole concept of proactive explanation. So the system being able to reason about its capabilities and its actions and the context, and then be able to notify a human being about doing something about that might seem kind of unusual to them. And we kind of have a catalog of different kinds of triggers, as we call them, for doing this proactive surprise alerting. Just to give you some examples of this, right? Historical deviation. So normally I would go to the left, this time I'm going to the right, so here's why I'm doing that. That's a very simple example. There can be other things too, like you might have alternative actions, we call this indistinguishable effects. They kind of look the same in terms of accomplishing the same end result, but they might have very different sort of meta properties associated with them. One might be a lot more expensive, for example, consume a lot more fuel, or one might be risky, or that sort of thing. And maybe the decision that the autonomous agent is making a very well-informed decision about why it's doing one versus the other, and you might want to let the human know, hey, I know this is really risky, but we're running out of fuel, so this is the reason why we've chosen this action in this particular context, that sort of thing. So I'm not going to go through all of these in detail. Hopefully that sort of communicates the essence of what we're trying to do there. I want to move on to this question about directability. So I talked about directing a planning system, which is in some ways easy because you just, you can give it constraints and examples of what you want the system to do. Reinforcement learning systems is a very different matter. So reinforcement learning systems work from instances, right? You give them thousands, if not millions, of examples of something, along with some guidance as to this was a good thing or this was a bad thing, right? So that's very laborious to do, and you don't really have direct control then over what the system is learning. And if we think about how we teach people how to do things, we don't just give them instances or examples, right? We tell them things. So the colleague I worked with is really into games, so this is a little Minecraft game where we've got an agent that's trying to retrieve some objects, and as part of doing that, he has to do this safely. One thing that's not safe is falling into lava because then you burn and die. But if you think about this, right, if you were teaching somebody to play the game, you'd say, don't fall into the lava. That's bad. You're going to die, right? And you wouldn't need a million examples of this for the system to learn how to not fall into lava, because that has a very negative reward associated with it. So we were sort of intrigued by this idea of, well, could we give advice to a reinforcement learning system, and what would that look like? So this is hard though, because human advice tends to be abstract, linguistic, and we kind of generally tend to give very small numbers of it. So how do we go about kind of pulling these two very different models of problem-solving information together? I'm not going to claim that we have the best solution in the world, and I know this is a little detailed, but kind of the idea we have here is we take the advice, we map it into what we call templates that enable us to generate examples that we can then use to give to the reinforcement learning agent. Positive examples of good behavior, think of it that way. So we can generate lots and lots and lots of these because we know what the good behavior is, and then we put it into the replay buffer that the reinforcement learning system is using. So in addition to the reinforcement learning kind of sampling from it, playing the game by itself, we're sort of, think of it as we're kind of biasing the learning because we're putting in lots of examples of things that we want the system to do. So it's a way that we can take that human advice, compile it in essence into examples that the reinforcement learning algorithm understands, and then get the impact of that we would like to see, which is namely to influence the learned models so that they reflect the advice that we gave to the system is sort of the idea. And again, I won't go into details. These charts just show that, in fact, we're able to show in this very simple domain, of course, that giving this kind of advice can improve the overall behavior of the system and, importantly, enable it to get to the point where it's learned good models much faster. So this also addresses another big problem that the deep learning community has, which is that although deep learning is very powerful, you need a lot of data to get it to understand how to do things. So we think this combination of human advice paired with working with more traditional instances to drive the learning is a really important way moving forward. So in my lab, we've also been looking at another approach. We've got a framework we call Deep Adaptive Semantic Logic. We call it DAZZLE, which is a really nice name. And kind of the idea here too is similar that we want to take advantage of human knowledge, right? Human knowledge is symbolic, and how do we do that? So DAZZLE is looking at more of the traditional deep learning framework where, right, you take lots of data and you run it through the deep learning and then it spits out a model. But what we'd like to do is also give it some rules, some a priori rules to say, well, you know, here's some properties of the domain. Rather than trying to learn these tabula rasa from the data, we're giving you the rules and we've got the data. And so we have this interesting concept now that we can actually go bi-directionally. We can have these rules influence the models that the deep learning systems can generate. And also we've got the deep learning that what it's being done is it's linked up to this logical layer, and what that can do then is actually soften the rules in logic. So logic by definition is binary, right? Things are true or false. But by linking elements in the logic to concepts that are learned from the data, we can think of them as being like probabilities for the concept in your logic. So instead of having a categorical rule, you know, all birds fly, not really true, penguins don't fly. But coming out of our system, the system would sort of learn that, you know what, all birds fly is mostly true, but it's not always true. And then it could come back and give you the examples where it found it wasn't actually true. So this is a really exciting area. And there are other people in the AI research community, some of you looking at these kinds of hybrid systems that pull together symbolic reasoning with data-driven deep learning. And it's a really exciting field, a really exciting direction for the field right now. I mentioned communication is a very important area as well. So as I said before, Siri was something that came out of my lab. We didn't start with Siri. We've been building a next generation system we call Virtual Personal Assistant, or VPA. If you were here at the session on Wednesday, we had a panel that had myself and my boss, the head of our division, talking about conversational assistants, and there was also a representative there from a spin-out company that's where I called Casisto, which is taking conversational agents and applying them in the financial vertical. That work actually came out of something we did for a Spanish bank called BBVA. They were interested in the idea of trying to replicate a human assistant they had who was well known for being really good at what she did. Her name was Lola, and so her system was called Lola. But the concept was to walk people through complex banking transactions, and BBVA was really happy with the result of this, and it has been rolling out that capability worldwide. I'm told that I'm out of time, so I might just jump forward. Personalization, we have an example of a system that called Emma, which was a personalized meeting scheduler, which did learning about everything. Learned about when you like to schedule meetings, learned how to deal with conflicts, learned about your room preferences, pretty much any and all that you might associate with a meeting, scheduling a meeting, and did that all just by looking at, when it made suggestions to you, which choices did you end up picking as a result of that. So, last slide, I put up a list of some challenges for humans interacting with AI. I know we're out of time, and I don't know, maybe we could revisit these later in the panel if Paul would like to. So, thank you very much for your attention this afternoon.